Hello, you guys. How are you doing? The first record of this is on a Saturday, early afternoon. Well, mid afternoon. Mid afternoon. I'm driving in my car right now, and I had a moment to drop in with you guys. So come take a ride with me and let's talk about this. I have 5 things that we begin to realize on our healing journey, and this is going to be a positive, uplifting video. All right, as we're of course continuing to increase our emotional maturity. All right, and this is whether you're in the beginning of the healing process, middle, or end. You can come to these conclusions at any point, but they usually happen once we're over a certain hump. So if you're in the beginning of the healing process, you may not realize these things. So if you're in the healing process and I start seeing things off this list, you're like, I don't see that. Give it some time. You will one day you're gonna be like, you know what? She was right. She was right. I arrived at these points. Yep, yep, yep. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about these 5 things before I get my butt back at my house. All right. I hope everybody's well. So the first thing that you're going to realize on your healing journey, actually, once you break away out of these toxic relationships, and particularly like narcissistic abuse type situations, right, are just stuff that just did not serve you, your higher good in a certain way. In a certain way, you guys, you're going to realize that you're going to be taken more serious. Yep, you're going to actually be taken more serious in life. Period. Maybe not by that narcissist right away or at any point, but we're not depending on people who are emotionally immature to be, coming from a mature perspective. But other people in your life that seen you in these situations, getting dogged out and dragged through the mud, you know, those people are actually going to begin to take you more seriously because you're taking yourself more serious. You removed yourself out of this situation. So, you're sending a message right now that you should be taken serious because you're commanding respect, you know? And this is going to actually be good for you energetically as you start, you know, for whoever else you're still dealing with in your life on any level. I'm not just talking about romance, but it just sets a good tone for you to be able to stand up for yourself, all right? Oh, awesome, Queendom Nation, and welcome to the live chat, sweetie. But yeah, we're just talking about, we're on the first thing on my list here, things that we'll realize in a healing process from narcissistic abuse or, these really toxic relationships. You're going to be taken more serious. It's kind of like giving somebody something to respect because, you think you could just, it's just not in a perfect world. It just doesn't work that way. You tend to have to give people things to respect. And then people tend to lose respect for you when you don't respect yourself. So, yeah, obviously, getting out of that situation, people are going to start taking you more serious. Your friends and family, you were running to them over and over, complaining about the situation and yet staying in it. They're not taking you serious. They're like, oh my God, here they come again. They're going to try to talk you out of being in the situation. And then sometimes that feels frustrating because they know you're just going to turn right back around, or they're losing faith that you're going to choose yourself, right? Oh, you're welcome, sweetie. You're welcome. But yeah, you're going to be taken more serious. And that's a good thing because nobody wants to be taken for a joke because that's not anything that somebody's going to respect, right? All right. So the next thing I have here on the list is you're going to realize that you can love someone and not be with them, especially if this was romantic. And then if it's a friend or family member, you can love them and keep them at a distance, or you can love them and have them completely out of your life, you know, for the romantic situations, particularly. Like you can love the shit out of somebody and realize they're just not good for you, you know? Yesterday somebody was on my live chat, and I hope she catches this one. Majesty Moon, I believe was the name. That's one of the my subscribers and supporters. And she was saying how she was married for 37 years and she was riding for this guy and she really cared for him. And it had been 20 months of them dating, but he wouldn't commit and he wouldn't even say, I love you back. And in hindsight, everything that I told her yesterday, we're going to keep that on a book. Ugh. We're going to keep that on a book. That's my son, Nathan, calling on my other phone. I have to put those things on vibrate. But either way, yeah, everything I told her yesterday. Hold on a minute. Let me just. There we go. But yeah, everything that I told her yesterday, we're going to keep that on the books. Yes, yes, yes. But there are some additional things that, I wanted to tell her. With her being married for 37 years prior to dating again, she was still in wife mode. She was used to riding out with people, love and health, sickness, and all this other stuff. Because this guy was going through alcoholism, this guy that she's dating, and she was riding out for him like that was her husband. And I wanted to tell her yesterday as well, like, you're not a wife anymore. You're a single woman now out here in these streets, out here trying to see what it's going to be. And she still had that energy of a wife because she is wife material. But, you can't be given wifely duties, or you can't be, giving that energy to someone who's not even willing to call you, his woman at this point, because she's 58, he's 58. Like, you ain't nobody's girlfriend. Like, you somebody's woman at this point, you know? So just, learn from that situation. She's used to being married more than she's used to being single, but all yet and still, we have to be having that self-awareness and be mindful to know, what? Yeah, I'm not married right now. She might not even know how to be more casual with people because she used to being all in, you know, but that's just not in 2023. We have to adjust until somebody shows her, until somebody puts her on that level, you know? And as far as number two, what we're talking about, you can love somebody, like be into them, and they still not be good for you. That was the situation right there. This guy had hella red flags. She was feeling all this love for him, but it was unrequited and not being reciprocated, you know? And in those situations, hey, you got feelings, but it's not reciprocated. So we're going to have to do what we got to do, which is break free because I love myself, you know? And that's number three. When we get out of these situations, which that was a codependent situation for sure, and narcissistic abuse relationships tend to have those codependent energy in it heavily, right? You're going to realize it was really just about self-love. It wasn't about whether they loved you or not. It wasn't about you being in this relationship. It was them actually shining a light on a crack in your foundation that perhaps you need to tighten up your ability to have self-love for yourself, you know? That's pretty much what you're going to find out that whole experience with the narcissist was about. It's a catalyst that brings you back to yourself. And I've been saying this for years. Those situations are, painful as it may be, but you know what God understands about human beings? Pain is a great way to get somebody's attention, okay? You feeling you're uncomfortable about something's making you uncomfortable, and you feeling excruciating pain, it's hurting. That's a good way to get somebody's attention. It is, because guess what? When you're feeling good and stuff, that's a good way to get somebody's attention too, but it's reeling them in. So he knows the narcissist needs to be able to love bomb you guys to reel you in so that you can get this lesson. Okay? He knows he gotta get that dopamine going and get you in. He knows how we're wired. Like there's some type of method to the process here. And he knew it was going to eventually crash and burn, But thank God for that. Why would you want that relationship to succeed anyway? You just need to get what you need out of it, and that's what you needed, the self-love. The self-love. So ultimately, it was about self-love. Everything else is really secondary. I mean, of course, there's all types of other things that you're going to learn, but in the biggest picture, when we zoom out, it was about you loving yourself. You had to, in order to get out of that situation, you had to love yourself more than you loved the thought of being with that person, more than you hated the fact of being apart from them or ending the relationship. You know, you had to love yourself over the trauma bond and the soul ties. You had to choose you, basically. So ultimately, in the healing process, you're going to understand it was really you against you. That narcissist was just a tool, you know, they're being used. And I'm going to make a video about, because I've had some really, really insightful thoughts about the narcissists and, why they're just never going to get ahead. And it's things that they don't consider and that I don't hear people talking about in the community. And I think is really deep as fuck, honestly. And I want to share those thoughts with you guys because I'm really philosophical myself. And I be in my head, I be thinking about things. I analyze, got a lot of Virgo energy. Sometimes we think a little bit too much. We overbe thinking, we overthink stuff. But not in this situation. That's not what was going on here. But I'm thankful that God has given me these thoughts, connecting dots for me. And then I just, come and share it with you guys. Right. But yeah, number 3, you're going to realize ultimately this whole experience with this narcissist, the trauma, it was all really about your self-love and having better boundaries. Of course, these things are secondary, but the self-love, because self-love is going to give you the boundaries. See, all those other secondary things is going to come with the self-love. Like someone that has adequate self-love is going to be covered. So you don't even have to break all that down, right? So with that being said, this whole experience was really for your higher good. We had to deal with your shadow self, but it was for your higher good. Ultimately, it was for your higher good. I know it's hurtful as it was, but you know what? If I hadn't experienced narcissistic abuse, I wouldn't be here on the channel with you all, paying it forward and, helping other people. It was only because all of that hardship, the pain that I went through, oh my goodness, it got my attention, especially that one particular relationship that really just was the major catalyst to all of this going on in my life. Yeah. But all of that taught me more than them psychology books could ever teach me. Now, I go read those as well, but narcissistic abuse is not even in the professional psych books like that no more. They took it out. I mean, of course, there's literature on it, but they're not giving it the type of weight that they should, you know. But nonetheless, we're from the school of hard knocks too around here. So that gave me an education them books can never give me. All right. So it was all for my higher good. I needed to go through it because those versions of myself, those were lesser versions of myself. Even the version of me last year was a lesser version of myself than I am right now. But that's a good thing. That means you're doing life the right way. We are going to, if you're doing it right, you're going to progress in stages. And you'll look back on your ignorance when you weren't doing as well, your emotional maturity wasn't where it is now. But, when you know better, you can do better, and I've certainly been doing better. And I'm thankful for that. And I'm not hard on myself for the hard lessons that I've had to learn when I didn't know any better. I am gentle with myself with that. I just had to learn, God provided a way for me to learn. It hurt, but now it's beautiful. And that leads me to number 5, you guys. It gets better, much better. When you first start the healing process, it's very triggering because now your eyes are open. You're going to see things that just weren't, the dots are going to start connecting for you in a way that they weren't in the past. And that can hurt because there's a lot more than what meets the eyes, where you thought you were being disrespectful, and then somebody break it down to you, or it occurs to you, or God just has a little talk with you and he shows you a little bit more how disrespectful that was. And then and then you realize how you participated in it. So now there you might feel some shame and guilt, like, well, damn, I allowed this person to, do this to me, or I allowed these situations to pile up and go on for so long. And you realize how much you weren't loving yourself. Going back to number 3, it was all about self-love. You become really naked and exposed, and it's plain to see. You know what I mean? And you can take that accountability, and it might start hurting, and you realize relationships that you thought were this and that. Because once you figure it out, usually through those romantic relationships, you're able to see other relationships in your life from your childhood. It's bringing it all to the surface. And that can be emotionally overwhelming. you know it's a lot to take in, but it's necessary that these things are exposed so that you can finally deal with all of this. You can finally deal with all of this and process it, so that you can get a level of healing to where these things aren't to your detriment anymore, right? But once you roll up your sleeves and you're willing to do these things, you're going to see how much better it gets. And it gets so much better. It really does. And you thought you were sexy and hot before. And, when God's light start glowing on you because you really cleaning yourself out, it's a cleansing that's going on at this time. It's a purge. I've always called it a purge in the channel throughout the years. But yeah, man, like, woo, to think of where I've started at my worst in this healing process to where I am now, you guys. I went from having 4-hour panic attacks, having nightmares multiple times a week, like being really traumatized from, that last relationship, and then just everything that was going on top of that. Like, I felt like when it rained, it was pouring at that time in my life. I went through a good 2 years of therapy from 2 therapists. Like, I was doing that shadow work, you guys. So where I'm at right now, it was not given to me. I had to fight for myself. I didn't, but that situation was so severe. Like, God, I won't say he yelled at me, but he, he let my head hit a wall in a way to where I was like, oh, hell. I was like, I never want to experience that again. Like, it was my rock bottom. Everybody has their rock bottom, and some of us need more reinforcement of the pain has to be greater for us to really, get that memo. But it gets better, and I feel so empowered. I feel so empowered. And I'm so far from where I was, but I still work on myself, you know. I still work on myself. I still have to keep that self-awareness. Nobody is perfect, you know. But there's no situations where somebody is just like that narcissistic abuse shit. Nah, is never going to be on that type of level. It's never going to be on that type of time for me again. Let's just put it that way. It's certain things I feel very confident about just not experiencing, welcoming, vibrating with, connecting, it's not going to happen. It isn't. But let me go look at the thread, you guys, because I see you guys been talking. Awesome, Tammy Woodbeck. Welcome to the live. Yeah, Logician says thank you for these lives. Awesome. Yeah, I have a lot of content out. I, wish more people could get a hold of it. Maybe I'll have to pay to promote my content a little bit. Maybe I'll pay it forward a little bit in that way. Logician says, how can I help my child heal and deal with the breakup when I myself still learning how to cope and realizing the narc will never change and have moved on to the new supply? Well, you guys could still lean on each other. As a matter of fact, you can lean on each other in many type of ways. I don't know how much, if they were in a relationship, they were probably talking to each other a lot. So you could extend, lean on me, especially in the beginning when she's trying to break the soul ties or trauma bond. Call me when you're going to call him. Text me, like, fill the voids over here with somebody that's actually caring for you. That's a good way. Just like, how people can be each other workout buddies, you know? And they hold each other accountable in a certain way. Be like, look, if you're feeling weak, if you're feeling this or that, you got me as a support system here. Lead her to a channel like this or introduce her to the narcissistic abuse community if you haven't already. I do offer coaching. Right here at the bottom, you see the www.lakiacrawford.com. I've been doing that for years and I've helped all types of people, all types of people. Okay. And don't minimize, what you can share with her, what you already know. You can share with her what you already know. I do have videos on here on this channel. I have over 1,000 that talk about like when you first break up with a narcissist. After I get off the live, I'll pin, if I have it in a playlist per se, I'll pin it. But I've put videos. I'll just make comment. I'll comment some videos you could shoot to her. About what to expect like in the beginning, because it's good to be able to get ahead of that so that when those feelings and those experiences start creeping up on her, it's not like it's catching her off guard, you know and then she can be proactive about, okay, when I start feeling like this, how am I going to deal with it? Like, building a support system is important. If she already has you and you've already started it, even if you haven't completed it, that's really good. At least she has somebody else she can vent to, somebody else to be a soft place to fall, to help even guide her, because you're further ahead in the process than her, right? Hold on a minute. I kind of lost the chat. Okay. Yeah. And also, because I don't know what the situation is, like if she still lives with him, if she depends on him financially. Like, it's so many unknowns to this question. But whatever way that you can help her comfortably get out of that situation to where she doesn't need to turn to him. And I don't even know if they have children, like there's just a lot of unknowns here for this. But yeah, just letting her know that you're there for her and that you understand. And any codependencies that they had with each other, we could fill those voids with something positive. Okay. Logician says, so true. I used to get migraines and panic attacks. Now I'm feeling so much better. Yeah, I realized that the more work that I did, the fewer panic attacks I would have. And then the smaller the panic attacks would be. And then it would be like months without a panic attack and then years without the panic attacks. And I'm like, whoa, like awesome. And I have videos here on the channel actually about panic attacks. And I give you guys like physical things that you can do to work your way through that. I learned it through therapy, and I also learned it just because I was experiencing them. So I share like tips on how I got through them, like holding your breath, taking a deep breath in slowly and holding your breath for as long as you can. It actually slows down your heart rate. I talk about drinking cold water if you have it, or putting a cool compress on your forehead if you have that available. I also talk about not fighting against the panic attack, because once it starts happening, you ain't stopping it. And if you fight it, you're just going to make it take longer. Allow the panic attack or anxiety attack to run its course. Okay. Like, I've had it in weird situations where I was grocery shopping or even driving my car. Several times that happened. And I had to pull over on the side of the road and allow the panic attack to just run its course. And while I'm doing that, I'm praying. I'm praying, inside of my head, of course. And then I'm allowing myself to feel whatever I'm feeling at that time. See, when these things are happening, don't fight against it. Just let it, like, oh, it's coming. Relax yourself as much as possible. But you can go back to those videos that I uploaded in the beginning of this when I first started this channel, for anxiety attacks. So if you were to just even go on YouTube and put reflection and progression, panic attacks, or something like that, those videos will pop up. Whatever you want to talk about with narcissistic abuse, put reflection and progression and type it. Chances are it's in the title of my video. It's going to pop up, you know. But yeah, panic attacks, they're no fun. But I'm very thankful that I've done the healing to where that's not happening, because usually when that's happening, there's some subconscious things you might not even be aware of it. Like, it's happened to me at work. Like, it has been like inconvenient as places, and I legit played it off. Like, people were like sitting near me at this time, back when I was in cubicles and stuff. But yeah, there were people within eyesight of me where they could literally, like, if I were to move the wrong way, they would know I was uncomfortable and that I was going through something, and I would have to sit there and kind of play it off. Because when you're having those things, you feel very weak. Your body is overwhelmed at that time. That's why your heart rate is picking up and whatnot. And the last thing you want to do is like start exercising. Like, no, you need to have several seats if possible. I've had it in the middle of a supermarket or something. Like, and it doesn't. That's the thing with emotions, you guys. I believe in the video I compared it to like a beach ball being pushed to the bottom of a pool. If you don't unpack these emotions and deal with them, your emotions are going to pick the time for you, and it's not going to care about, oh, Lakia just clocked into work, oh, she just hopped on the highway. It's not going to. There's no tracking of that type of stuff. That doesn't matter to your emotion. All it knows is, you know what, we've been pushed down long enough, and we're going to come up whether you're ready or not, because you know your body wants you to live. It will try to fight for you, even if you're working against it. Like, it's gonna come up. So the best thing is to deal with things and allow yourself to feel, because pushing it down, that's when those panic attacks start coming, and you may not even realize it. And what I'll say in my situation, and that's confirmation right there, what I'll say is, sometimes when we're going through these situations, you don't even feel like you have a moment to respond. You don't feel like you have. It's like, well, I'm a single mom, I have these kids to take care of, these bills are still coming in, and you don't feel like you have time to feel. It's like, I'm just trying to survive. And then that's making you push it down even further. But we have to compartmentalize if that's the case, and that's a great tool to use during the healing process, you guys. Compartmentalizing things. And that's when you have, hey, twice a week I go to therapy, or once a week, or every two. You have the moments and times where you block it out, where you're allowing yourself to deal with yourself and your emotions. Even if it's incorporating meditation, which I highly recommend. The stillness of the morning is the most beautiful time to do it. But sometimes when we're busy parents, and in 2023, trust me, I know, you got to get in where you fit in. It might be a car ride where you don't play any music, and you're meditating while you're driving. Yeah, you could do stuff like that. You really can. But look, don't get in no accidents now. I'm not trying to. But it's meditation to me is more than just sitting down with your eyes closed and zenning and all this other stuff. It's more than that. It's when you're quiet with your thoughts, and you can be quiet with your thoughts while you're driving. You can. So it's about just taking those quiet moments for yourself. If you feel like your kids don't give you much privacy before they get up or once they're in bed, making time for your self-care. We have to do those things, you guys. It's so important, because like I said, honey, if you do not deal with it, it will deal with you, and it's gonna, chances are, be at some inconvenient time. And you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, it's going to just hit you out of nowhere. And a lot of times people, they start having mental breakdowns and all types of stuff because there's just so much built inside of them that needs to be addressed. All right. The good thing is, it can be addressed. It can be addressed, you know, but we just want to do it in a way where we can have a healthy release or a healthy connection with that. I haven't forgotten that stuff. Like yesterday, the same young lady, she was like, I think I'm still in my trauma bond. And I was like, I may have to, maybe we'll do a live chat, do a trauma bond support group. I was thinking about this yesterday. I'm like, it seems like people in the community are really, really struggling with the trauma bond, and understandably so. Like maybe I'll do a support group for you guys and we can link up, once a week or something like that, or every like second and fourth Friday. Like we'll find some type of way. If you're subscribed to the channel and you hit the bell, you're going to get notified. And if you miss it, you can always come back. I read my comments, even if you're not able to, be present at the live chat, because I know we're all like on different time zones and we have lives to live. But I am going to do that. I'm going to do a trauma bond support group. But I don't want you guys to confuse still feeling love for the person as still being caught up in a trauma bond. Because I'm healed. And that one narcissist, I didn't love that one at all. The relationship didn't get to that. I didn't love that person. I liked them and I was getting to know them, or at least I thought I liked them. And that is completely uh-uh. Eh, but it's possible to love a toxic person, is what I'm saying, though. Some of you may have gotten to a legitimate point, like, we were full blown married and stuff. You can love a toxic person, but realize that they're not for you. Doesn't mean that I'm still trauma bonded to them, because there's no part of me that wants to go back with that person. I still love them, but I gotta just keep that to myself. I gotta, you know, for my own self preservation, my own self care, my self love. And that's real. That's real. So, I hope she wasn't confusing the fact that she still care about this person with the trauma bond. The trauma bond, how that's more still activated, is you want to be with that person. You know, your feelings for them and everything else is overriding the toxicity, and you still want to give it a go. You still want to keep them around. That's how you're running off of that trauma bond. All right, but there is all different kinds of trauma bonds too. And we could talk about this. We can continue to talk about the trauma bonds. This live chat wasn't particularly for that, but we could keep talking about it, because you could trauma bond over, going through similar situations. You could trauma bond with another survivor, honestly. Yeah. But I just don't want, I've made videos about this in the past where people, they victimize themselves too much. And I don't want you to stay in a victim energy. I don't want that. But let me finish this thread, you guys, before I hop off. Tammy says, thank you so much for your words today. My 37-year marriage that we discussed yesterday was with an abusive narcissist. Maybe that's why I behave like more of a wife. Yeah. Yeah. And it also, that's a very long time, to tolerate that type of behavior. So it gives you a larger threshold, um, Tammy, to where you would tolerate these things, especially if this person is nowhere near as bad as your ex-husband. It may not even feel as bad to you, but to people who haven't been in those situations for like decades, you know what I mean? It's going to be more severe. And the more that you find healing, the more unacceptable that's going to be, you know? But yeah, that's what tends to happen when you're just so used to it. Logician, Logician. I'm making sure I wasn't mispronouncing it. She says, thank you for your advice. I'll take a look. My son is 4, so I can't talk to him too much about narcissistic abuse. Oh, no, but you can teach him about self-esteem and how people should treat him. That's how you teach children, you know? I start early. I have 6-year-old twins. They're my youngest children, and they, oh Lord, they are not pushovers, and they command respect. They don't allow. I've taught them boundaries. I've taught them in a way that I was never taught when I was their age. Because I didn't. That wasn't the energy that wasn't around me, empowering me to love myself and have the self-care and even the boundaries with each other, because sometimes twins need to learn that too. So um at that age of 4, it's just teaching him right and wrong, and teaching him boundaries and self-care and self-respect, what's okay for people to do with him and what's not, and how should he respond to these situations. That's really helpful for kids. So just, make sure it's an open door. You tell them, hey, buddy, you always can tell me anything, okay? If someone does anything, good or bad, I want you to share things with you. I'm here to help you in life. I want you to be happy and good. And then you guys have that open relationship. Sometimes I feel like my kids, they be TMIing with me. Like, I'm so open with them and they're so open with me. They tell me stuff I would rather not know. And I'm like, oh my God. But that's good. You want to have that with your kids, because it's better they tell you than somebody out in the street that can lead them astray or give them some poor advice. All right. So Queendom Nation says it's pretty painful when you realize the relationship was a lie, but it's great to finally say, I'm never going back and mean it. Yeah. And I won't say that it's a full lie per se, because you were being sincere. And that's why you have real feelings. But yeah, when you say that, I'm assuming you mean that the person, they weren't reciprocating. But also, though, Queendom Nation, I'm going to say this. Were they lying when they were misbehaving, or were we minimizing their behaviors and not, treating it appropriately, Because sometimes, the devalue, the discard, and all that poor behavior, that's what I was telling Majesty yesterday, Majesty Moon. He's actually telling you the truth, but you want to still be with him because, uh, that's what she wanted for the relationship, even though it's being shown to her that he's not the one. So I want survivors to realize, yes, they may have lied during the honeymoon phase of the relationship, perhaps during that love bomb, but there was a lot of truths that this person was probably showing us as well, that we weren't taking the way as serious as we should. That person told on themselves in so many ways, and we have to, moving forward, we got to be privy to those type of things. So Blazing I I'm sorry, Blaze and I Zation, yeah, says, what are your thoughts on shadow work and integration? Yeah, I was talking about this yesterday. And sidebar, I have made videos on this channel. If you put reflection and progression, shadow work, those videos are going to come up. I may even have a shadow work playlist. Yeah, I may even have that. But my thoughts on shadow work and integration, yeah, it's necessary for all human beings. We all have a story. We all have things to heal from. Some more severe than others. The shadow work is very necessary, a part of healing the inner childhood wounds, so that we can be our better version, so that we can be more lighthearted and have healthy relationships, instead of not doing the shadow work of healing those inner childhood wounds, and then replaying these toxic situations out with different people. you know the stuff that we didn't heal from our primary caretakers, or those original narcissists in your life. And as far as the integration, I was just talking about this yesterday, sweetie, where I was talking about we need to make friends with our dark side. But here's the thing with narcissists, they just run off of it. They run off of their dark side. You know, their dark side runs them. But yesterday, I kind of used an example of like a detective that like them CSI shows, how those detectives have to be in touch with their dark side to premeditate these dark energies. It doesn't mean that they're dark, but they know how to use their dark side to have emotional maturity. And that's what I want you guys to be able to do. And because sometimes you need to tap into it. It helps you think of angles that your light side ain't trying to be bothered with. And I was talking about that yesterday. So I think that's a great thing, doing the shadow work and integrating your light and dark side, because we have duality. That's why we have the yin and the yang. We have light and we have a dark side. Yes, we do. But you don't want your dark side to just run yourself. Your shadow side is inside of your dark side. But I'm not going to say like your dark side is just a piece of shit. It's no good. It's not useful to you. It is. It is useful. All right. And we just have to learn how to balance it. And that's what I would say about that. And Logician says they would love a support group. So that's great. So we'll be doing that. Look out for it, you guys. Subscribe, let me, anyone else interested in the trauma bond support group, let me know. I think it's a great idea. It was on my mind all day yesterday, which means God is telling me to do it. When something gets in my mind like that, I know like I'm being pushed to do this. Like, do it, girl, just do it. So yeah, just let me know. Other than that, you guys, it was nice to drop in and talk about these 5 things that you're going to notice in the healing process and others. So I'll just recap it. The 5 things is that you're going to be taken serious, now that you are taking yourself serious. Number 2 is you're going to realize that you can love someone and not be with them. And you can love them immensely and deeply and not be with them. Okay. Number 3, you guys, you're going to realize that the whole experience was really about self-love. Number 4, you're going to realize it was for your higher good. I know God used pain and trauma to get your attention here, but it was really for your higher good. He knew that it wasn't going to destroy you, but it was going to build you up better. Okay, it was going to build you up better. And number 5, you guys, you're going to learn that it gets better. It gets much, much better. It's kind of like healing from an injury, yes, or you just coming out of surgery of something that you had to do vitally to, extend your life or whatnot. Yes, you're going to feel banged up. That surgeon, who's God, he had to work on you. But as you heal the wounds and you get stronger with each day, you're going to feel better. And then guess what? The poison that was inside of you, it was removed now. So you're even better than you were. You had to go through that surgery and you had to go through a healing process, but now you're even better, right? So that's how I look at it. And I would invite you to look at that too, because perspective, boy, does it matter in this situation. If you have the wrong perspective, it is not going to serve you very well. All right. So with that being said, you guys, and now that I dropped my water on the floor, I have to go. I don't want my voice to be raspy and dry, but I pretty much delivered my message for you guys. I love you. You're going to be okay. There's lots of content here to help you. I do provide the support group on Facebook. I also still do the coaching. You're welcome to visit my website. It's all spelled out there. If you want to talk to me privately, I am excellent at this. I am excellent. Okay. All right. So keep doing the work, you guys. Never give up on yourself. And until next time, please take care.